Morning, guys. Johnny and Mr. Forex Fire. So yesterday I went to do my morning session and I did record it. However, unfortunately, what had happened was we didn't really get into any trades as such. So I'm adding stuff to this forward test as we go along, okay? And I'll explain as we go along this morning. First of all, I'm just putting the ICT midnight for New York. This gives us the midnight time for New York. Okay, you'll see here we're on midnight, the 7th of February, which is today. Okay, so that's the midnight line for New York time. And what we're doing as we go down to the 15 minutes, okay, I just want to highlight we're on about 3 o'clock in the morning on New York time. We want to go on to the 1 minute, sorry. And as we go into this and highlight, go into auto, okay, we want to put the magnet on. And there's a couple of things I want to do. I want to put the high, which is 2 days high. And then I want to put today's low. Okay. Now, there's a reason why we're doing this. What we've got is this trend line. Let's get this magnet off. So as I do a line from the midnight, and I take it right over to 359, and I'll explain why 359 in a moment. So what 359? So just going to put that there. And again, 359. This here, what I'm testing from the midnight, this here, so far, is going to be my workable range, okay? So I'm waiting for, within this range, if this breaks lower before we get to this line here, obviously we'll extend the range out, and obviously if it goes higher, okay? So what I'm looking at ultimately is waiting for a liquidity grab, and then from there we are going to be going. It's around about, I think it's 5:45 my time works out to be. So we go to 5:45 New York time. Down to here. I'm just going to see if I've got this laid up. That's the 350. That there is the 359 end. Where are we at? Need to get that one in, sorry. That's the 359 end. I don't think I've got the template made out for this. I haven't. So that's going to be the end of my session, okay? So if we go to London time, I'm going to be trading up till 10:45 from 9 o'clock in the morning, basically. The 3:59 is 8:59, just before the London Open. So this is my trade window. Okay. So like I say, I'm trying to simplify a few things. I'll just go into that. And I just go on to this. Let's go on to template. End session. Click on this, click save. I just go onto that. And again, template, save as, end session. There we are. And then I'm going to rinse and repeat this on all pairs. So again, just remove everything. Start off at the 1 hour. We've got, like I see, at 5 o'clock in the morning, UK time is generally midnight on New York. Okay. So you see price on a couple of pairs straight away is bearish at the moment. And again, I just highlight this out. We've got horizontal rear with the magnet, go to the highest point. Today's high. And as we stand at the moment, that is today's low. I mean, that can obviously change depending on where we're at on 359, which again is 8:59 London time. And then again, we've not marked that out. And we're going to give this, that's the swing time that I'm looking for, highs to lows. Okay. This line here, again, this line here. Template. I'm not wrong, sorry, I do apologize. It was this what I had. So it's a 359 here. From top to bottom, and then to the template. This template is a 359 end. And at the moment, start to the bottom, that's our range pre-London. Okay. And then again, we want to work with 545. Which is the end session. So I'm setting up like a fence post, if you like trying to make this easy to follow. And again, like I say, if we between here and here, if we get this moving below this area, we simply move the fence posts. Once we've got our range from the midnight to this area, that is what we're working within. Okay, so that's the euro, USD, the GBP, JPY. We now need to do the GBP USD. I'll show you one more time. There's the midnight. Go down to the 1 minute. Again, magnet on. Horizontal rear. You see that's the today's high. Okay. And so far, we've got today low. Okay. From there, we take the magnet off. Get the trend line, we'll go to 359. That is 1 minute before the official London Open. So again, 359 end, as it shows on here. And then we'll do the same from the midnight of the new day, New York time, right the way to 359. And again, I'm only doing this just to be visual, okay, just to show you guys. And then again, we go top to bottom. We filled out our range. And that's it, guys. Again, I'm going to do the same on the NAS. I'm going to try and trade the NAS 100 today as well. What we've got to add on here, just so we don't forget, is that 545. And this is just purely my discretion. This is where I'm only trading to. Okay. Let's have a look. And that's where I want my London session to end today. 5:45, which again, New York time going on to London would be 10:45. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this on New York time. And I'm going to set up the NAS as well. I'm just going to pause the video. We'll be back in a short while once we see what parameters we're working with. I'll come back on the recording once we get the bell for the London Open. I'll be back in a second. All right, guys, so there we have it. We've got everything set. We've got our parameters of the midnight to the 4 a.m., which is just before the London Open. I've got the bell set, so it'll tell me when we're in session. We've got the range again while we are in yellow. Okay, while we're in the yellow phase, the build-up phase, as I like to call it, if we get a break out of the structure before the open area, we have to adjust the range accordingly. Okay, so this is our build-up range. This is our build-up session. This here is our trading session. Okay, the time between here and here will be 9 o'clock in the morning UK time till around about 10:45. Gives us a good hour and 45 to trade in. Okay, again, that's the Euro USD. We have now got like I say, we've got a break. That is now the low. We're still in the build-up session. So this here, like I say, we'll get the magnet off. And we'll build this to here. Again, down to the bottom. And again, like I say, we're in the session, we're in the build-up still, okay? So the GBP USD, we are got the range here. And today, for the first time, I'm going to try the NAS as well. So like I say, guys, this is, I'm trying to be as visual as I can because I'm adjusting things to the trade plan. Okay, I'm adjusting things to the trade plan. What I'm trying to do is, like I say, bring in elements that is going to be mechanical to what we are trading. Okay, trying to set out a distinctive way of trading, see if it works, and then I'm going to sort of document what I do via what I'm doing here, which is vlogging it, but I'm also going to be documenting it as well. And like back testing, but back test with a forward test element because I'm doing it live in front of you. Okay, so as we see, we've got the NAS 100 set up. We've got the GBP USD set up again. Let's just put our mechanical trade plan in there. GBP, JPY. Let's just put our reminder in here. And then last but not least, we've got a Euro USD. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go and make myself a cup of tea, a little bit breakfast, because I've got half an hour technically before we reach this area. So I'm going to set myself up with a little bit to eat and everything, but we've got everything visually set and we'll take the next steps from there, guys. Okay, I'll be back in a short while. Okay, guys, so again, like I say, just to be transparent, we have moved lower in the range on the GBP GPY before the London session starts. So again, put the magnet on. We grab the tool, take the magnet off. So that's the new low. Bring down the range. and also bring down the range on this as well. Okay. Get this onto that spot on. And just to show you, we are still within the build-up range on the NAS. We still have the build-up range on the USD, GBP, USD, GBP, GPY. We are now built that new range up, and we've got the end session there, the Euro USD. Again, we are in the build-up. So again, we are currently New York time around about 3:45 a.m. We are 5 hours ahead in the UK, so it is 8:45, 15 minutes before the bell will toll for the London Open. And I'll pause the video. We'll be back in a short while. Right, okay, guys. So I'm around about a minute away, if that, to the New York time of 3:59. Or in the UK, it will be 8:59 in the morning, which is a minute before the bell will toll for the London session to start. And I'm just going to quickly run through. I've got everything within its range, high to low. Again, we had to adjust the low side on the Great British Pound JPY a couple of times leading up to this time. We've got about 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Right, and that's telling me session is now open for me. Again, that says on the NAS. The reason why I did that is because the NAS was just the one I was on when I finished it off. So what we're ultimately looking for is these steps here. Liquidity grab. And what I mean by that on a liquidity grab is we've got our range. Okay, so the start of midnight, New York time, we're going to be basing this on, which you can see on this vertical line here. Okay, like I say, I just want to get that. I like to call it the fire circle, just so you can see what we're on. Okay, you can see here, this is the start of the new day, going down here, midnight on the 7th of February. Okay, New York time, and the range between there to 03:59, which again, if you look in this top corner, it is now 08:59. It's 1 minute before the official London Open. And we're forward testing this to a London session at the moment. Again, I think this is very effective on the New York as well, to be fair. But at the moment, I'm testing this during London, okay? So now, as you can see, we've got a yellow box here. So between the midnight of the new day to the 03:59, or in this case, it will be 9 o'clock in the morning, just about. That is the build-up, okay? This is the build-up phase. Excuse me. So we're looking for the highest point and the lowest point. That is the range we're working in. This here is our trading zone. Okay. So between the 03:59 or 9 o'clock in the morning to the 5:45 a.m. New York time, which would be 10:45 in the UK. This is our tradable area. Okay, so I'm trying to condense everything. I'm trying to keep everything zoned in, and we're putting a ring fence around our trading allowance, the time, and also the range. Okay, so what we are ultimately looking for, once the 9 o'clock comes in, you're going to see a lot of volatility. Okay, a lot of volume and movement. So we're looking for a break of the high or a break of the low, and then there's certain parameters after we get that liquidity grab, which would be the break of the range. Okay, we are waiting for a displacement, which then would hopefully leave behind what we call a fair value gap. Okay, so as I click on the FVG, you see we've got fair value gap zones appear. Okay, more will come to light on this as we work through it. Then we're looking for obviously the break high to low. You set that limit order. And then the SL, this is where I'm toying around with things at the moment. The SL limit, there's a couple of different parameters. So let's say if we went on to this here, okay, there's a fair value gap here. Normally, I would just put it below the lowest swing point. I'm toying around at times where if this is the fair value gap, I'm looking for the candle to the left of where the fair value gap was made, putting the SL just below there. But I'm waiting to see what kind of displacements we get. At the TP levels, for now, I'm working on a risk to reward of 1 to 2. I might bring that in to do 1 to 1 over time. I don't know. Or once I get enough data, if we see what happens within that 1 to 2 range, how many times the 1 to 1 is hit, we might have to start factoring in and refine what we're doing here. And let's see, either come up with something in the trading plan where we move the SL to break even at that 1 to 1 range, or we take a partial and then maybe half the risk on the SL. It's something I need to work upon. So at the moment, we've got we need to set the alarms for the high to low. So that's on the NAS. Again, I'm just going to go on my alarms from yesterday. I'm just going to cancel these out. I'm just going to cancel them alarms out. I want the session for today to have an alarm once we get to the end. So we're going to create that. Okay. I want the high to give me alarm. And I want the low. So we get the breaker structure. We know to come back to the chart. Okay. And again, the same on here. We don't need to do the end session. You only need the alarm on one of these pairs as an end session. That just tells us that the trading is over. We don't want to try and be in a trade towards the end of that session if we can help it. But again, we'll work around that as and where we see fit. So again, on each of these pairs, we are setting our high and low alarms. And then that just lets you walk away from the computer, to be fair. And when you get the alert, you can just go back once you see that these zones or ranges are being broken. So that is everything set. Like I say, final breakdown and everything that we've got. We've got our start of today's session going up to just before the London Open. We are in New York time at the moment. And then we are visually doing from high to low of that time scale. We are putting the range in color of yellow. Once we come in and past this vertical line, this is our zone of trading. So once we get a break down or once we get a break up, our alarm will trigger, and then we are looking for displacements and fair value gaps. So that will be the next step. And we do that for the next 1 hour and 45 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video. Hopefully you've took a couple of notes. Hopefully you're starting to see the structure and the way I'm trying to look at this. And then we'll see if we can catch a trade today. Remember, please remember, this is a forward test. So we are bound to trip up. We are bound to fail during this process. This is just about me vlogging my journey on trying to structure a plan together to make it mechanical and to help others that are wanting to visually start doing this as well. Okay, so we are bound to trip up. We are bound to lose at times. Got to stress that this is not about, yes, we want to be profitable, but it's not about being profitable from the offset. It's about being able to tweak, refine, and tune in to a mechanical system that we have the probabilities stacked into our favor. Okay, so I'll pause the video and hopefully that is starting to make a little bit of sense for you guys at the moment. Be back in a second. Right, guys, so now we have our first alarm has gone off, and it's actually on the NAS, which is pretty exciting because I've never really traded the NAS, in fairness. We first of all look at the trading plan, liquidity grab. Okay, so we just get the circle. We identify the liquidity grab. Now, we do need to move this structure to the next high point, but at the moment, I want to get in on a trade before we officially move this. So a couple of things that we are looking towards, okay, is a movement out, which is the liquidity grab. We want to see a movement back in, and it could do one or two things. It could come back, okay, come back up, possibly go higher than what the liquidity grab has done. And then we're waiting for a displacement. Okay, the displacement is something where it comes back through. And while it does this and does like a change of character or a chalk, if you want to call it, what it's doing is possibly leaving behind, like I see, that two minute fair value gap. So what we look for then is, after that pull back through, is a retracement back into that to then come down to target these lower areas, okay, to target this sort of stuff. So again, it could do that, or again, we may get a movement like this. It may go higher and then decide to sort of come down. But I don't really want it to be going too far away from where the first liquidity grab it came from. Okay. So again, if we just get rid of these. And I don't know, like I say, I don't know how this will react with the NAS, you know. So again, we'll just identify that liquidity grab. We just need this to play out a little bit more. What I'll do is I'll pause the video. I'll let a few more candles come into play and we'll let it form what it needs to do. Again, structure wise, we are looking for sort of swing points to when it takes liquidity, it's got to create liquidity. And what I mean by that, when it takes the liquidity like this, okay, you normally get a retracement. So it's going to create liquidity for the downside. So as it comes up, it makes that higher high. It's got to make a higher low. Okay. That higher low is the structure point that we want to see be taken out. So as it takes liquidity, it creates liquidity on the retracement to make that higher low, to then try and push, possibly feel the higher high. And if it feels that higher high, it then comes down to attack what it made by making that liquidity on the higher low here, and then eventually takes that liquidity to then leave behind that displacement fair value gap within the previous liquidity grab. Then we look for that entry on that fair value gap, and then we target the other areas where there has been like higher highs to higher lows. The higher lows, because this has been in a buying phase, the higher lows in this occasion would be our TP areas. Either that, or what we'd be looking for is areas where we have, like I say, fair value gaps where there's just been buying pressure. I hope that makes sense. Again, more will come to light once we see more on this. I'm going to pause the video and we're going to be risking 1% a trade. Okay, 1% a trade as we forward test this. Again, at the moment, we're starting to see where we've got a little bit of a higher low formed here. We want to see a complete breakthrough, and then obviously possibly, like I say, after that displacement, because we've got the fair value, we've got the liquidity grab. As we get that displacement, we're looking for the residue or the breadcrumbs of the fair value gap, which is left behind after it's creating the liquidity after taking it. Okay, again, all will come to light when you see what I'm doing as I go step by step through this, guys. I will see you in a bit once we get an entry. Right, so I thought I would just try and sort of explain this. So what we've got the liquidity grab, okay, the liquidity grab here. We've identified where we've got a bit of a pullback, where the swing low is, okay? So this here will be a higher low, okay? So higher high, higher low. And if we break the liquidity here, we would possibly then bring the liquidity that it's, when it's done, the liquidity take, okay? Pull back is the make liquidity. Pull forward, it's took the liquidity. The pull back is it's made liquidity, okay? Hopefully this is like sort of making sense now. And then it's gone to make a higher high. We're waiting for the higher low. We need the higher low to come through and basically break through this. If we get that, it's then what we call the displacement through the area. And we can then possibly look for a 2-minute fair value gap, which would then turn red because it'll be a selling one. Again, at the moment, because this candle is lower than what this one and this one is to the left and to the right, this is a swing low. So it's as it's pushed up here and this has taken this liquidity, it's come down to pull back to create liquidity on the sell side. It's then come up to try and take out the liquidity on the high side, and it's just took it there. So that is now taken this liquidity, okay? This is still what we would call the liquidity that was made. So I'll be waiting for this to be taken out, and then hopefully still a fair value gap. However, if we get a little bit of a push down, okay, and then a little bit more on this side, creating this sort of candle effect. We would then move our liquidity area up to the higher side, which would in essence be the higher low. Okay. Again, we'll just wait 10 seconds for the price to do what it needs to do. But again, if this runs away from this, I just need to be careful because I don't want it to sort of get too far away from this sort of area, if that makes sense. I'm just going to measure this out as well. Again, we're starting to peter out on the top here, so we may get a little bit of a push down. Let's have a quick check on the other pairs. I don't want to sort of spread myself too thin, if I'm honest with you. Again, we're still within range here. We're still within range on this one. And we're still within range on this one. This is good because now I can just concentrate on this one thing at the moment. We'll check this up here. Like I say, I'm not concerned what's gone on down here. I just know I've just had the liquidity grab on my first take. So all I'm focused on now is just what's going on here. I don't care what's happening down the bottom bit. I'm just bothered about what's currently happening within this space. So again, like I say, I'm just trying to be as visual as I can. Trying to make these candles as big as I can. And then I'm just waiting for that candle pattern to emerge for to be able to get the displacement. Let's have a look. Again, I want to see this sort of effect to be able to move my liquidity line on here. Because again, for me, at the moment, as we stand, from here up to here has been nothing but just the buy-in, if that makes sense. We need to get some sort of retracement back into this area to be able to get this motion, to be able to identify a proper swing point, if that makes sense. Again, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the video, and like I say, if we get an entry and I mark it up and I set it, I can then explain to you what's going on. But like I say, I'm trying to be as visual and as transparent as I can is what I'm wanting to show you at the moment. So I'll be back in a short while. Right, so what we can see now, guys, is obviously we've created a little bit of a swing here. We need to see where this candle closes, okay? This candle closes above this, then we've got a new low point, okay? Because the candle to the left and then the candle to the right are actually higher than where this wick came to. So we've got around about 10 seconds. I can now move this to this area, okay? So what we're now waiting for is the next candle to possibly break through here. If it breaks through that area, then we're looking for the residue of the fair value gap to then possibly take this to the downside, okay? So again, this is the part that is going to be the difficult part to sort of identify, to be fair. But the structure, what you're waiting for, when you've, like I say, you came up and come down, came up and come down. When you're creating the higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, okay? We are waiting on these pullbacks here, like this, these pullbacks here, okay? When you get this, you've taken liquidity. So the high side's taking this liquidity, okay? We got the pullback, then this is making liquidity. So when we're going to get a reversal pattern, what is happening is you're making liquidity here, then prices come up, the buys are in control. This has taken this liquidity, so it's a liquidity grab. When you take liquidity, the markets have to create liquidity. And what it means on that is when it's making the liquidity, it's getting ready to produce target areas for when we get that pattern reversal, okay? So if this fails to break, like I say, those highs, comes down and takes out where it's left behind the breadcrumbs of price action, comes out and takes out behind these, we are then, like I say, looking for that fair value gap here. Like I said, I hope this is making, I really do hope this is making sense. It's a process of loving here, to just being able to identify these areas. The more you practice these sort of things on the charts, the more you're going to be able to see them, you know. So again, this is the high, this is the low, this is the range we're working in. We're waiting for that reversal to come in. Again, if this runs away too much with us, we would be looking to sort of just leave it for now, to be fair. But again, hopefully we're going to get a nice push down in a moment to see if we can get that entry we require. Again, this would not be a low unless obviously we take out that liquidity high, if that makes sense. Okay. Yes, this is lower than what this candle and this candle is. But I ideally want price on this candle or after to push down below this one at the moment. Okay. And I'm going to stay on the video. I'm going to stay on the live until obviously we see what's going to happen. I might pause it in a few seconds. We just need to see what price action is going to do. But again, like I said, you're going to have like little trend line liquidities here, which is going to reside. And this circle here has been, like I say, the first part, which is the liquidity grab. This has grabbed this area, okay? But as you grab the previous structure high, you're getting a retracement. So when, like I say, and I'll keep saying this till you sort of identify with it, when you take the liquidity, the retracements on when that buying pressure's been there has got to create liquidity from the sell side, okay? So again, what we'll do is we'll see what's going to happen here in a moment. I'm going to pause the video. I've got this identified as the area I want to see structure broken to then get this displacement to then move on to step 3, which is the fair value gap. Okay, be back in a short while, guys. All right, guys, now we can see here, okay, we're going to take a structure high point here now. So again, I'm going to reverse back into a liquidity grab. If this goes above, there we are. So now we've got a liquidity grab here. This structure wise, this is the low, because obviously where price is, we reside this up to here. We now need the price to come push through this area. Because we've had a liquidity grab, there has got to be a retracement. So as you take liquidity, okay, it's taking liquidity here, it's going to have to create liquidity on the sell side. So it's going to bring down price. There should be a red candle or two come in a moment. Until you understand the price action, how this works, we will see some form of the here, or within here. The red candles will start to come in. So as it's took liquidity from that there to create, when it's took liquidity, the liquidity grab, it's going to have to create liquidity on the downside a bit. So it's engulfing this candle now. So now it's starting to create liquidity to the downside. Let's see if we get the push through this low point here. Hopefully it will do, because then it should give us a nice sort of, like I say, a fair value gap. I would love to see this candle push through here before it runs out, to be fair, but I don't think we're going to get that. So like I say, we've took new high point. It's took the liquidity. Now it's going to create the liquidity. Okay. It's came down to test that, which is annoying, because like I say, I want to be able to see this broken before I would get in on this fair value gap here. So this could just be sort of testing us as a fears. Again, it's created liquidity, so it might go up and take this side at the moment. So it's fulfilled. You'll notice the fair value gap has moved. Hopefully I'll not get any other alarms going off, it just means I can concentrate on what's going on here at the moment. Yep, good. So again, we're in a testing phase. That there has took this liquidity here. Okay, that's taken that liquidity. I'm just going to place this here. We've now sort of took liquidity, made a high. We've created liquidity by making a higher low. Now this candle, this price action here, as it stands, it's trying to decide whether it wants the continuation of trend upwards or whether it wants to start to disregard what it's created here. It looks as if it's going to push a little bit higher. And if it does, we simply just annotate that and just move this to the higher side. At the moment, this is the high point. This is the structure point high. So this is the highest high bit. Again, volume up and volume down. It's pretty sort of fluid with its price action. It looks like hopefully we might get a bit of a reversal in a moment, because again, we have certainly made a new today's high, to be fair, 20 points there. We just want to get this sort of structure to come back down on itself. And again, this is the lowest candle at the moment from when it's made that high. And we've got that nice V shape here. Okay. Again, two areas, structure high, structure low. We'll see if one of these may want to be taken out soon. Again, of this area here, when we took liquidity from the high side here, when we started the retracement, like I walked you through before, if this had nicely pushed through here, it may have left a nice little fair value gap for us to trade off, but we didn't get enough selling power to be able to create that. So this, for me, may tell me that this is wanting to push that little bit higher, in all fairness. We'll just keep an eye on price and what it's doing at the moment. Like I say, liquidity is all around us, to be fair. All of these candles here, all of these have liquidity. So as you can see on here, that candle there, there's liquidity there as well. Okay, so until this break structure through that, this is where liquidity is being held. It's starting to respect a certain price level on the buy side. Okay, it's going to push through that. It's tested. There we are. It's spiked through it. So we get rid of this. We move our area to the higher side. Now, because it's taken liquidity, it's going to have to give back some. Okay, so it's going to have to start giving back. We've got around about 20 odd seconds. The next candle we see might start giving us a little bit of a selling pressure. Or we may even see it come in the last few seconds of this candle here. If it does, it just means we've got an indecision and the price is starting to wane off a bit. Again, here we go. Starting to pull down, so we're going to start making a new candle. I still want to see price sort of come on this area here because we've got lower candle and lower candle. So now this is where I want to see the break. Hopefully we may start seeing that. We've got 30 odd seconds. And again, if we get a breakthrough here, we may get this alarm go off. There we are. There's the alarm going off. It's took the liquidity here. We're now waiting for the fair value gap. 20 seconds. And like I say, at the moment, the fair value gap as it stands is going to be sort of in this area. You know, so again, yes, there's the fair value gap coming. 6 seconds, 5 seconds. Fair value gap should be around about that area there or a bit more. There we are. So again, I'm going to set a limit order. I'm going to place this here. Sell. Just going to do a sell, take profit, and we're just going to do 1%. I'm going to put this in here, short. And I should have a 1 to 2 sell. Okay. And we'll have this here. So that's the first trade in. I don't think I put this on a percent, to be fair. I didn't know. I just see if I can get this back in. We'll just go on to the sell position again. And so let's go to 1600. Again, it's done that. It's done it again. I've set the trade up wrong there, guys, so I do apologize. Would you put this on here? Right, so we know this is going to be a 2% anyway. We'll mark that down if it does win. Like I say, you can tell I don't trade NAS. You can tell I don't trade NAS, so I don't know what the parameters are on that. We'll just see if this structure holds and if it's going to play out and give us what we want with regards to that win. There's an AS79. Excuse me. I don't know why it's doing that. I want to play this off on here. It's only doing a 0.19% for some strange reason. Very strange. I'll pause the video. We'll be back in a short while. We'll see what happens with this trade. Okay, guys? But just remember, we're risking 1% that the trade didn't get set up correctly. We'll be back in a short while. Right, guys. So I've eventually got the settings correct on this now. So again, you can see in here, I corrected it earlier. We're on that 100K account. We've got the entry. We've got it as a 1 to 2 now. My alarm did go off before. Okay, so the alarm was for the GBP, JPY. Let's just get rid of the fair value gap stuff at the moment. Let's identify structure-wise. We've had a take on liquidity. So now we've got a sell. We've got a sell in play. And now we also can be looking at a buy. So we've got one on either side of the scale, you know. So again, if I just go on to here, we've identified structure-wise. Structure-wise, we've identified the liquidity grab. So number one has been ticked, okay? The run of play at the moment, we need one or two other candles to be formed, because after you get a liquidity grab, like I say, what happens after a liquidity grab, you're then going to get a liquidity. You take liquidity, so the liquidity grab, it's going to create liquidity. Now, in this instance, the creating liquidity is going to be lower highs. Okay, so as we take liquidity on this effect, it's created a lower low. Okay, we get a retracement, giving us back a lower high, and that's what we have on a creating liquidity. Okay, so at the moment, like I said, I just want to put this over to here. This would be our take liquidity line. What we in essence are requiring is, obviously, when we get this sort of formation, we need the lower high, the candle to be high, then the candle to the left, and then the candle to the right. Okay, if we get this candle pushing down, coming below this here, it's taking liquidity again. So then it's done here, liquidity grab. Okay, hopefully this is sort of making a little bit of sense for you. Again, we're in the early stages of the candle formation from the liquidity grab. Okay, so we may be getting straight into a trade in here, to be fair, simply because when you look at the take of liquidity, or the liquidity grab as we call it, we've started to create liquidity in the form of a pullback, retracement, creating a lower high. Okay, this candle here has not come below either of the swing points here. Okay, so if this price now decides to shoot off, we could be possibly anticipating and looking for a fair value gap to be created to get us entered into a trade. Okay, we just need to be mindful, and we're watching this. We're now keeping an eye on this area here, or this level. We're seeing what's going to happen with this candle and what it wants to do. We've got 9 seconds left of it. And again, we have formed a new today's low. And what I mean by that is we set our parameters up. Okay, we set our parameters up. This was the build up to our trading session. This is our tradable zone, our tradable area. And we wait for the break of structure on the low or to the high. Okay, on the NAS, we got that on here. We've had some nice profits, to be fair, when you look at the NAS. The NAS has been in some profit at the moment, but now it's sort of hovering between break even and sort of giving us the profit. The JPY at the moment, as we stand, we ignore everything that's on here now, because this is the only area we need to concentrate on. We've had that liquidity grab on our trading plan. Okay, so this is the zone that we are only interested in at the moment. At this moment, when we get that first part, which is the liquidity grab, we are now waiting for a candle formation from the swing. Okay, it doesn't matter what's happened to the left. It doesn't matter what's happened to the right. This is the only thing that sort of makes or gets our attention for now. Okay, so we're in the midst of going through the motions, going through the plan, of going through the mechanical side of the trading area that we're doing. Okay, so again, we've taken a liquidity grab. Okay, and like I say, I'll keep saying and repeat myself, because eventually the penny will drop. After you take liquidity or a liquidity grab, it's got to create liquidity. So as it's come to its lowest point, and it's took the liquidity from the today's low, okay, it's made a new today's low, but it's got to give back some price action. So this is how, when this forms, it creates liquidity, and when it creates that liquidity, price will then try to come back and attack the area where it's created that new low. So after the take of liquidity, it creates it, then price will move backwards and forwards, creating this seesaw effect in price. Okay, and I do, like I say, I do hope that this is starting to make a little bit of sense. As we stand, when we've come to create the liquidity here, this is where the standpoint where I'm at the moment, what I want to see taken, because we're within the range of the new today's low to that pullback of where it's created the liquidity. And we're just waiting actively to see what prices want to do. If price from here, because we're live on price, if price then wants to come down and attack this, it's then making a new today's low. Okay, so then what we're doing is we're looking at candle structure to then identify where the new creation of liquidity is for the price action to attack. But at the moment, that's the new today's low. There's been a liquidity grab, obviously, on here from here. We've done the pullback to create liquidity for when we want to see the displacement. Okay, the displacement will come once we see price action come back on the buy side. So this is the buy side liquidity. This would be the sell side liquidity. Okay, so there's buy side and there's sell side. I'll pause the video, be back in a very short while, have a quick check on the NAS, see where we are. We're now back in drawdown on that. But again, guys, this is just about forward testing. We're going to fail at stages. It's a game of probabilities. We're just trying to identify structure points and things like that and work around what we can do once we get these new lows or the new highs taken on it through that trading window that we're setting ourselves. I'll be back in a short while, guys. If anything on momentum changes on this, I'll mark it up and then I'll identify it and then I'll walk you through what I'm looking at. I'll be back in a second. Right, so we're looking at price again, guys, okay? As you can see on here, we've had a liquidity grab again. So we've made a new low point, okay? So as we've made a new low point, we are looking at possibly this area here as being the new swing. simply because obviously this candle is lower than this. We've got 35 seconds, and this candle is going to be ending up lower than what this candle is, okay? So again, we've had a liquidity grab. We're waiting for number 2 to come in, which will be a displacement where it's going to push through that. Okay, so again, let's have a look at the NAS. The NAS at the moment is nicely in profit. If you just bear with me, the phone is going. So yeah, like I say, if I put my fib on here, and again, just take no notice of all these fib levels at the minute, okay? All I'm interested in is the 0.5. So that's the halfway point. That 0.5 would generally be where that halfway of the profit area. So that would be a 1-to-1 area. There's other things I'm trying to factor in with this. With regards to this at the moment, again, we've got that low point here. We're waiting to see what's going to happen with of the liquidity grab. We then going to have a take of liquidity. We are now going to have to create liquidity. So what we're looking at is possibly price to come up 50% or a little bit more of these candles here to create a liquidity, thus making a lower high, okay? To then hopefully eventually what we're aiming for is the lower low not to be taken out, and then we get the price reversal, and then whatever it created on this lower high, for that then on that price reversal to grab that liquidity and then leave behind the displacement of the fair value gap. But it looks as if this price wants to continue lower. Okay, let's just have a look. Yeah, we want this is wanting to now continue lower because we officially have breaking where that dot is. We've breaking that liquidity. So again, it's broke. It's done a liquidity grab. So now it's here, and we've got the liquidity grab once again. We've got a bit of a pull. We want price to sort of come up and give us a new liquidity area on the top. Let's have a look at NAS. The NAS is, like I say, it's starting to peter out a bit. It hasn't touched that 1% area at the moment. But again, we're forward testing this. I just want to keep it going just to see what happens, to see if it'll give that 2%. Again, if it only gives a 1, we can mark this down and then possibly refine and tweak the system, you know. The GBP USD has just not done anything so far today. The Euro USD has been stuck in limbo as well. Again, we've got around about 45 minutes left of our trading session time. And so far, we've only had one setup with regards to NAS. This is what happened with me yesterday when I was trading. There wasn't any price action. There wasn't any movements as such. There was no volatility or volume showing its hand on the few pairs that I'm doing. But like I said, if I try to put too much on here, I'm going to spread myself too thin, and you can guarantee the day where I put 7 or 8 pairs to watch on there, they're all going to go crazy, and I don't want that. I don't want that to happen, you know. So at the moment, we've only just got the NAS that's in on a trade. It's back into drawdown at the moment. Trust the process. We leave that open, but this is the one we actively want to be watching because it's getting the setup. It's got that liquidity grab at the moment. With regards to this is where we are. Let's have a look. That's the liquidity grab down there. We just want to see what price is going to do. Again, we may be able to bring this liquidity down to here, to be fair. In fact, we will do. We'll bring that to here because the candle to the left and the candle to the right, they're both lower than what this area is right now. Okay. Again, this here, as we drill in, just to try and be visual, this candle now is lower than that. Let's have a look. That's the liquidity grab there. But this candle here has got a higher point than the one to the left and the one to the right. I would be waiting for a push to come up through that area. Hopefully we may get that soon. It's all about just candle watching, to be fair, once you get these grabs of liquidity. Because as you get a grab of liquidity, it's going to want to create the liquidity on the higher side. It's just when it creates this liquidity on this candle, is it going to push above this here? And that's what we ideally want for that possible reversal. It's one to test. Now it's took it. Okay. Now we're going to possibly see a fair value gap left behind. And if I was to start to mark this out at the moment, that's where the fair value gap is, unless price closes above this area. Okay, so we've got 9 seconds. That's the liquidity area there. Oh, so we should see the fair value gap. There's the fair value gap there. And again, if I just go on to, let's see, a buy. Do 8, 16. And price is shot away from me now. So now I've got to come out of that. And so I just do, it's shot away from me too quick. Do a buy. 8, 16, 1%. So again, it looks as if we may have missed this price, to be honest. Took too long to get in on it. So hopefully it might come back. One to two buy. To 1%. Price is starting to come back towards the fair value gap, to be honest. That's the 1 to 2. 1 to 2. So price might come in to tag us in a moment. We're going to tag us in. How's the NAS doing? The NAS is back in some nice profit. It's went to the 1%. The NAS looks as if it wants to give that 2% now, to be fair. Again, the GBP, GPY, that should have tagged us in, to be honest. That should have tagged us in. I'm annoyed with this. This, like I said, this happened once, at least once the other day as well. And if we do this favorite trace, you know, so we've got the entry up until there. That would be the 1% area. Delete out that fib. Again, like I say, when we do this, we can sort of move the SLs, but I want to keep this. I want to keep this with me. I want to see if it's going to give the 2%, to be fair. It's going, it's pushing for that 2%. See where we are in the GBP, GPY. It's coming back towards that entry. And you can see I've got the buy limit at least a pip or two for spreads above this area, above the entry area. It's come back. It's done once. It's done it twice. It's done it 3 times, and it hasn't triggered. Hasn't triggered. Back on the NAS. And you see, like I say, when I see it today's high, that's where we were at the beginning of the range. Look what's coming to test. Look at that, guys. We come out of the range. It's tested. It's come up. It's reversed. Now it's coming back through. I mean, hopefully this is a sign to see it's going to come and test on this to give the 2%. And again, guys, look, it still hasn't triggered. It still hasn't triggered. The NAS. That's as good as being 2% in my eyes, to be fair. Again, if this was me now on a proper live account, I would have possibly closed that out if it was just messing on around about this area, to be fair. Because like I say, it's trying to respect. It wants to push down to give her. There we are. There's 2% in the bag, guys. So fantastic stuff. Nice big tick. We move on to GBP, JPY, and it still hasn't. There we are. We're triggered in now. Let's see what this wants to give. Again, I'm going to pause the video, guys, because I think we're now coming up to obviously towards near the end of the session. I'm going to pause the video. We've got around about 40 minutes left. So again, I'll pause the video. I'll let you know what happens on the price on this as we move on. Okay. So we've got 2% in the bag. If this one crashes us out, we've only lost 1%. That means we've gained 1% for the day. However, this is meandering around at the price of break even at the moment. I'll be back in a short while, and then we can sort of finish off the video for today. Be back in a short while. Hi guys. So unfortunately, what has happened is the GBP JPY has just sank us out on the stop loss. So again, we were in a little bit of profit, but then price has decided to come back down again. I just want to have a look at one or two things. The Forex news, was there any sort of news coming into that time? We've got what, just after 10 o'clock. Yeah, so there was news. There was news at, let's have a look. Just want to go to filter. Where's the filter on this? Market. Calendar. Or the FX Street. So if I go on the FX Street, we had a speech, Bank of England speech had just been on a quarter past. So that has affected what we were doing on this at the moment. The GBP, it has been affected. So again, we are still 1% in profit for the day. There is things we can do to sort of get back in on a trade, to be fair, which is, again, we've had a take of liquidity. We just sort of follow suit on what we've been doing. That there was the take on liquidity, okay? So as we have this arrow, there was a liquidity grab. There is things you can factor back in where I'll do it, but I'm not going to enter the trade because obviously we've taken 2 trades today at the moment. So I'm just going to take out the fair value gap. Just going to bring in this over here. Just going to get rid of that. And get rid. I should have looked to see if there was news, to be fair. So as we've taken liquidity from here, okay, so we've taken liquidity from here, it's got to create liquidity. So it's done a liquidity grab, okay. We are now anticipating a move back up as such to sort of create a liquidity area before it wants to try and take it again. We may get a continuation down just for a few moments at the minute. Just going to keep an eye on this. So again, this here is taking this liquidity here. So just to be visual, I want to put that dot on that candle there. And we've got a liquidity area here. So we've got a candle that's lower than this one, and this one's lower than this one. So this is where we've taken the liquidity, okay, and then we've created liquidity. So we're waiting for the take of this lower high to be taken out. Let's just see what happens on here. And again, I don't want to enter the trade because it's just been Bank of England news, but we're just going to set this one up to see what it would have done, okay? So again, we're anticipating the next step, which is the displacement. So we're waiting for the push to come back through this area. We've got around about 25 seconds left. We'll see if we'll get the push up through here. Because at the moment, that's where the the take of liquidity resides. We've come down and taken all of this to the downside. So this is sell side liquidity. This is the buy side. So it looks as if there's going to be the displacement coming in for, there's been a liquidity grab on the top side. This is going to be a minimal sort of fair value gap area, to be fair. We've got a little fair value gap. We'll just go for the long. I think there's going to be another take, to be fair, on the liquidity side. So we'll just go on here. And if I just go to a 1 to 2 buy, I'm not confident with this at the moment because again we've got quite a bit here. Just going to wait a bit more. This might actually be where it's going to reside, so it will be. So we've taken the liquidity again. There's been a liquidity grab. So as you take liquidity, you've got to create the liquidity, remember. So like I said, we've got this here. This is where we're starting at the moment with regards to the lower high, because the candles have come down. We've come up and created a lower high. This is where you've got to sort of drill into price, to be fair. And again, that's where the liquidity resides on the sell side. We've taken that out. That's where we reside at the moment. So that's the sell side liquidity. This is still active as that lower high. Okay. And until we get this taken out, we can't see there's been a displacement, if that makes sense. So we've got the sell side liquidity here. The buy side's residing up here. We've got 20 odd seconds. It looks like price, as it's taking liquidity, it's got to create liquidity. So it might create a new sort of lower high up here on this candle. We'll just see what happens in these 10 seconds. It's trying to come up to push into this area. It's sort of at the open and close of the candles here. It's sort of rejected from that area. And now we've got the new candle. So we've got obviously the high and the low. We're waiting for this push out on here. So then once I get the fair value gap in the green, I can sort of put this over. But remember, we're not going to get in on this trade. We're not going to get in on the trade. I'm just going to put the template there to see what it would have done. Because like I say, we go back, there was news. There was news at 10:15. This was the reason of why we possibly lost that last trade, to be fair. 29 seconds. There's the take on the liquidity. So we've took liquidity, created liquidity. Now we've taken liquidity again. So again, once we've taken the liquidity, it's going to create it, leaving hopefully behind a fair value gap. We've got around about 10 seconds. Okay. So we've got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now we've got a fair value gap here. Okay. So we could say that this is where we're looking at. We'll see. We'll get an entry touch on here. And we'll just watch what price action wants to do. Okay. So there's the touch in. Okay. There's the touch in. We've got our liquidity here. We'll just say that this might have been the correct decision not to get in on this, to be fair. Okay. We're going to watch and see what it wants to do. So the target price just so happens to be, look, on a 1 to 2, target price just so happens to be where the today's low was on the build-up session, okay? Which is, like I say, these areas, when you get things like this, confluence and things like that happen, you just can't make the stuff up. We'll see what happens with this. Again, I'm not going to enter on this trade because I'm happy with obviously what we've had a 1 winner, 2%. We've had 1 lost. It's took off 1% of that. So we're 1% up. This one is just a template on top of what we were looking at. Again, because there has been news just gone 5-10 minutes ago, I didn't want to get in on this trade officially on the forward test. And it looks as if it was the right decision that I made, to be fair. So again, we'll see if this structure is going to hold. It doesn't look like it will do. It looks like it may take it. And if it does take it, we'll do a conclusion of what's happened today and I'll close the video off with a final thought. Okay, we'll see what's just going to happen with this. Let's just take a look. We'll just give it a minute or two. It's trying to come down to sort of create a new lower low, but it hasn't. It's held its structure. Let's have a look. I'm going to pause the video, guys, and then I'm going to come back with a final thought for the day on the next time I come on the video. So I'll be just a few moments. Yep, back again, guys. So that was the right decision to stay out of that. So far today, okay, we've had the NAS. It was NAS 100. Today's date is 07/02/2023. We were going for the short. One to two. And it was profit. Okay, I just want to take a look at this a moment. So we are on profit from the 100K. Again, the 1 to 2, it would be $109. $1009. 1009. 4293. 4293. Now I had a loss. Obviously, yeah, but the 2%, again, if we want to be full on, the 2% of 100,000 is $2,000. Okay, so that would have been the 2%. We then got in on the trade on the 0/02/2023. This was on the GBP, JPY. It was going to be for a long, again, a 1 to 2, and it was a loss. Okay, this then brings us down. It brought our accumulative balance down to, like I see it, where's it at? 1009. 100942.93. So 94293. 94293. This is where we are at the moment. Once again, if I just take copy chart image, go back, put that into there, and then if we go to the NAS, this was the winning trade on the NAS. Copy link. Just place that into there. So far today, total profit, we've got 942.93. The profit at the moment's 1%. The wins was 1. Losses has been 1. Total trades 2. Win rate obviously 50%. And then we've got the equity curve coming in. So that's it for that on the video today, guys. Again, as a rundown, watch the video back. It's all about setting us up for the day with regards to the midnight. Okay, we do the midnight of New York through to 03:59, which is going to be a minute to 9 o'clock of the UK time. This in the yellow, like I see here, is the build-up phase. Okay, so from there we're going to take the high to the low, set our alarms. This is our trading session. Okay, this is our trading session. What we wait for then is for a break of structure to the high side, so the buy side liquidity or the sell side liquidity. Once we get into that, we then sort of look at our trading plan, and what we're waiting for is, as we take the liquidity, okay, as the liquidity grab is being taken in this instance, from the higher high. When we get the higher high on here, we are going to wait for a displacement to come back through. When it's going to, after it takes liquidity, when it creates the liquidity, in this instance, it was on the higher low, okay? And when we get that, we should, in essence, break the higher low structure, change the character, leaving behind a fair value gap for us to then use the FVG or the fair value gap to get in for an entry. To then we look for the break higher low further down or a fair value gap. In this instance, I was looking for 1 to 2s. We look for that. We got that on the NAS 100 today. We grabbed 2%. We then got another alarm, which was on the JPY. Unfortunately, we lost out. It was on this structure here going up. But when we look back on why we lost, it was because of this. It was a Bank of England speech, okay? And it was medium impact news as well. So this is why we got stopped out. We didn't want to get back in on the Great British Pound because, again, just after the speech, there was only around about 20 minutes left up until the end of the session. So I don't want to be getting in on the Great British Pound, if I'm honest with you. Overall, thoughts for today. I'm happy with what's happened. We starting to get a little bit of that mechanical side of what we're doing with the trading, and it's sort of giving us the probabilities on the outcome as well. The thing that's let us down today was the fact that prior to the entry, I checked the news this morning, but I forgot to write down that there was a news event at this time. Okay, so overall, we've grabbed 1% for today. It's good for the forward test. Again, we've now got, if we go into here, we can see what the trades are. We can look back on them on the back test sheet. Okay, so again, good day. This is the end of the session for the London session. I might look at one on the New York. Excuse me. I might look at one on the New York and do a separate sheet or back test sheet for New York. I might, in fact, what we'll do is we'll make this the London session back test, okay? And I'm just going to file, and then I'm going to make a copy. forexfire, and then I'm going to put New York. So I'm going to have a different sheet for the New York, and I'm going to have a different sheet so I've just made a copy on that. I'm just going to delete that. So we've got a copy for the London, and then I'll have a new sheet for the New York. So hopefully, guys, you've enjoyed the session for today. Okay, nice 1% grabbed on the NAS. If you can, please, if you're watching this, please leave a comment below. Eventually, over time, what I'm aiming to do with this is I'm going to be bringing this sort of stuff into the Discord I've got, because I want to try and keep everything as mechanical as possible, set rules to follow where you're not going to deviate from, but because we're making a template over the top of what we're looking at. So we're looking at pre-session, okay? We're looking at the pre-session, which is ultimately going to be the build-up phase. And then from that is our parameter, that is our workable fence that we're looking at. And if we veer off the course out of that fence, we then look at situations on liquidity grabs, displacements, creating liquidity to take liquidity, which is what the markets do every second of the day. And then we look to sort of bring in a risk to reward ratio. At this time, we're going for a 1 to 2. But as time progresses and we see we've got this more structured, more mechanical locked in, we can then look at things where we can sort of take profits at halfway points, like a 1 to 1, or even if we don't take profits, we can look to move stop losses to break even and then let it run. Or we can take a partial at the 1-to-1 and then bring the stop loss in to maybe half of the risk, or just above the break even, So that will come in time as we forward test. I hope you're enjoying what I'm putting together with this. And if you're not already in the Forex Fire Discord, just reach out to me. Please give it a thumbs up. Please comment, please like, please share, because the more that people comment and engage on this, I can then look at what people are seeing, and then I can see if I can sort of bring things into how we're trading this setup. Okay, guys? So I shall see you all later.